Edwin requested an interesting use case for automation. He has a funnel built in Swipe Pages. There are a couple options after purchasing a product. To add a bump offer, go for the upsell or the downsell offer. The issue is that when the product is purchased, it generates an invoice, but the upsell or downsell generate a separate invoice. Since this is technically a single order by the client, we would like to be able to take the data from both orders and combine them into a single order in Shopify. Let's see how this can be done with Pabbly Connect.
So here is how I would go about it. We have Swipe Pages with products. We have a funnel and a webhook that connects with Pabbly. We have the main product that we're leading with the funnel, then maybe an order bump on that main product, then an upsell and a downsell. So that's 4 separate products and variations. If a person only buys the product and no bump, is that an order? Or do you have a product plus a bump? Is that a separate bundle that you would like to make? And then so you'll have variations to work with. So I wanted to show how I use Google Sheets. And maybe it's a control freak kind of a situation, but I like to see all of the data. What's coming with the payment, when it's coming. I don't have to track it in the history of the workflows or go through Stripes. We're assuming that you'll be dealing with thousands of orders. To make things simple, I would dump them all into Google Sheets. Let's start with the webhook. An order has been placed. With each decision, it's an additional invoice that is just under the same customer, so it makes it a little bit cumbersome. Okay, so the first order has come through. What I see is the name, email, and then the bump is included here if they go for it. What we don't have is the date, and of course you can add it to the payload, but to make it easy because it's a free task, I can add a date time formatter and select the event action to be current date. Since we are working with UTC, so the response will be today's date and time. But since this is UTC time, I want to reformat it into my time zone. So I choose another step for datetime formatter, and format date with time zone is the choice of the action. I select the item that has been generated here. So it's step number 2, datetime. I select the way it was formatted, and then I am asking it to switch it from UTC to my Denver time zone. The reason I'm including time in generating current date with time is the date can be incorrectly transformed into the time zone. But now that I think of it, it might be a good idea to include time, and I'll explain why. I would maybe even include it so that when you're building out your Google spreadsheet, you could see if there is information between the first decision to purchase the main product and how much time does a person take on your web page to make a decision. Or is it pretty fast because they're well informed? The reason that I'm interested in knowing how much time does a person take to make a decision to go for the upsell or skip it and then to go for the downsell is that I want to append, I'm using append values to a Google spreadsheet, and then I'm selecting all of the values from the initial webhook. Do I want to include the name and email? Sure. Do I want customer ID from Swipe Pages? I bet. Do I need source pages variant funnel for my spreadsheet? Might be informative if I have to speak to Swipe Pages support. So all of this data, do I need all of it? Then this will direct you in what are the values that you want to add to your row of data with every single order. This is where that resides, and you have to make sure that you're including the value from the list of step 1, and that's it. And then the response that you get is a list of, the spreadsheet, the sheet, the tab of your spreadsheet, and how many columns were filled, how many items of data were sent over. Then I want to delay. I want to make sure that the person, so this step is not going right as soon as the person made the first purchase of the main product, with the bump or without the bump. I don't want it to go and start looking for that person, because I assume that they need a little bit of time to make the decision. I don't assume that they already decided to upsell or down, to take me up on the upsell or the downsell. So this delay will be informed by how you see people using your funnel and how much time can you afford before you create that order. Next, we go back into our same Google spreadsheet, into the same swipe page funnel payments, and I wanted to look in column D, and I want them to find that email that just came in. And chances are that the person is not going to be coming back and buying the same product. So I'm telling him to look into column D and then start from the bottom and start looking for that person who fired off this webhook. And it can be a name or email. I think email is a little bit more like an identifier that is a little bit, you can go by customer ID even. So depending on how you want to make it work. So I am telling it to go look up that person and bring me everything that they've purchased in a lot of time. And that is correct. If we don't use simple response, it just sends us the whole array of data, all of this. And we can use the trusty data transformer to go line by line. It's called line itemizer. And when you select this data array from this input, I can tell you that Natabu with this email filled in 2 rows and on the same date. The customer ID is the same. These are all the steps that she has gone through and she has product 1 and product 2. Instead, this is just how I named the product in swipe pages. It should be upsell course or just course. And then instead you have an option. So just to show you, in Shopify, you would probably create separate bundles for all of the variations that you want to create orders for. And then when the order comes through, it can either have an email and then this customer will get notified from Shopify. If you don't want that to happen, you can create a blank one. But kind of again, the issue here is that it might be hard to remember which. Maybe you can make it unfulfilled yet, so it's not a fulfilled order. Okay, so that will be in the settings for the last. Let's see, do we have fulfilled? Okay, fulfillment, send fulfillment receipt, false. I don't want it to be sent. Bypass, take no action, fulfillment. Okay, so here I would say either partial, right? Order has been fulfilled, or none of the lines items of order have been fulfilled. No. And then you can create, you can have a row with the email, and that's it. Everything else is pretty easy. And we have created an order in Shopify. And let's see how it shows up. There it is. Unfulfilled. Okay, so the only, depending on how you want to use it, you can always switch it to either pending or fulfill an item, and then it will fire an email. So that probably would be, it just depends on how you want to process the orders from Shopify. But to get there, if you do want to create several variations of those bundles, I would go and create a router, select a router from the step, and all of that data depending on the items that the person has indicated, well, not paid for. Is it a product? Is it a masterclass plus a course? Is it a masterclass and a bump? Is it a masterclass, a bump, and a downsell? So depending on how you want to package it, I would create a scenario for each one. And here you would have to set a filter for the product. If it's a, and we're working with the transformator, if you want, you can make sure that it's the right person, but it would be. So there's no need. Is the product one, is that a master class? You would just write it up. Plus, you want to make sure that product value 2, here you really have to make sure that it's correct here, course. Okay, and then save and send, test it if it's correct. The condition is true, and then if the condition is true, then you select the Shopify app, choose create order, connect, and off you go. So you would have to make, this would be route 1, then you would fill out route 2, and for each variation. All right, let me know if this makes sense, and I will tag Fagun if he has any ideas of how to make it shorter and use fewer steps. I'm super open to your feedback. Thank you so much.